你为了你女儿能付出多少？
是我多想。
那好，你去杀一个人。
I am going to show you something that we may never watch again, but we will constantly reference for the rest of our lives. We've got a competition, mate!
I am the most complete fighter in the world. Yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker.
You can call it the art of fighting without fighting.
Stick around. Some motherfuckers are always trying to ice skate uphill.
Dodge this.
Welcome to episode 6. I can't believe we've made it to episode 6 already of Dodge This, an action movie podcast. My name is Simon Fielder. I'm in Amsterdam, love action movies. I'm still a human man.
Oh, are you just leaving a pause so I introduced myself there? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I went so fast that like the momentum built up, and then when I stopped, there was like a.
I liked it.
I thought you'd step in, but you're right. It was arguably too exciting a start.
If this were an action film, you'd be chasing someone down, you'd just stop, and then I'd run out and start running instead of us working together as a team.
Yeah.
But that's our style. I'm Matthew Hoyton. Hello, a co-host of this podcast.
That is true. In my head, when I stopped, there was like a big pile-up of police cars behind me, sort of Blues Brothers style.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Which they only had a set number of police cars for, and they had to have a constant mechanics shop working to recycle the cars. One of my favourite trivias there.
And it's those kind of facts that are going to help us get rid of most of the listeners in the first minute of the podcast, I think. So,
yeah, we're a minute in and we've done nothing.
Thanks so much, Matt. This is an action movie podcast. And usually before we get into too much, we like to just sort of find out what we've been looking at outside of the stuff we're talking about in the episode. This episode, we're talking about the Chinese, how do you describe it? Wuxia, fantasy, comic book, sci-fi, CGI explosion, a writer's Odyssey. But before we get to that, Matt, you seen anything that isn't that film?
I have. I watched Nightmare Alley a few days ago.
Oh, okay.
Guillermo del Toro's new one. I think it might be his best English language film.
Whoa.
Very lovely. Went in there expecting sort of a supernatural thriller. Turns out it's a very beautifully paced neo-noir. Even though it is set in the correct period that noirs would be. Oh, hang on, no, it's kind of getting towards the noir
1920s.
era.
Is that when they are?
Yeah. But I mean, well, we could go into noir.
No spoilers, mate. Come on.
Yeah. But yeah, it was absolutely beautiful. I very much enjoyed it. I have watched other things, but I can't think what.
I watched Cop Shop.
Nice.
That definitely probably falls under the remit of this podcast, so it's not an outside the umbrella vibe, but pretty enjoyable. If you go in there expecting, if you're familiar with the work of Joe Carnahan, the director who did back in the day, Narc, and then like Smoking Aces, did Boss Level last year. I don't know if you saw that.
No,
it's very macho. It's sort of a grizzled dick measuring contest, but with a standout performance from I've forgotten her name now, and this is going to reflect really badly me sort of trying to make it sound like I'm very woke and like I'm aware how macho it is. Now I can't remember the name of the female star of the film.
So what are you going to do? Just let that trail?
Okay, Matt, quick, Phil for 30 seconds.
Hey everyone, Simon is definitely not what's going on IMDb right now.
Alexis, louder.
I didn't even have to fill.
that was tense. Yeah, she's great in it, and it's pretty enjoyable. It's clearly I don't want to call it a COVID movie, but it's like a very one location movie, so it could well have been shot under those conditions.
Nice.
But it's one location that the second you see it, you go, I hope this gets blown to shit at some point, and it doesn't disappoint. Also, watched that movie on Netflix about set during Second World War about a book club on the island of Guernsey.
Oh, the Potato Club or whatever it's called.
Potato Pie Guernsey War Writers Book Club.
See, I have a trouble because when I was growing up in Oldham, there used to be a place called the Pizza and Potato Factory. So whenever I try and think about that film, I just call it the Pizza and Potato Factory.
Wow. I thought it was quite nice actually.
Oh, good.
I don't want to. I wanted to say I don't always get to pick the films, but I feel that feels unnecessary. But it wouldn't have been my first choice. But I did really enjoy it, and it turns out anything that just sort of reflects on the war stirs me emotionally in a way that I'm often not expecting.
Welcome to getting old.
Oh God! I mean, just to clarify, I wasn't in. I've never been in a war.
Have you also gone to the garden to look at a shed you built all weekend? Just staring. Longing.
Oh God! Thankfully, I live on the 7th floor, so the shed is not in my immediate future. Let's never rule that out.
The important question: have you, since between recording this podcast and our last one, watched the finale of season 2 of Cobra Kai?
I hate to disappoint you, but no, I've had one of the busiest Januaries on record, and I've barely watched anything apart from those 2 things I mentioned. So Cobra Kai, unfortunately, is still unwatched. And now there's new Ozark, and fucking Reacher just came out like this week, and finally I might have some time in the next week or so. So I'm gonna try and just work Cobra Kai into, you know, one of those, like, while you're having breakfast, while you're having lunch, just quickly pop one on, work through.
No one loves more having their breakfast to the relaxing sounds of teenage drama and violence. Exactly. So sorry, no, the update is I still haven't got there. I think in a way, the longer I draw it out, the more anticlimactic it's going to be, right? Oh yeah, 100%. 100%. Should we talk about some trailers?
Let's get into some trails. Okay, this is the order I think we should do this in. The ones that are obvious takes for the podcast first, and then a couple of little sneaky treats.
Okay.
Let's start with Fistful of Vengeance, which is the Netflix spin-off movie from... fuck me, should have written it down. What's the name of the...
I mean, it feels exactly like Universal Soldier.
This is mad. I can't believe I'm IMDbing things twice live on the pod. Matt, fill again, quick!
So basically, this film looks like a remake of Universal Soldier without ever calling it Universal Soldier.
Woo Assassins! Got there.
Which in itself was probably a remake of Universal Soldier.
No, Woo Assassins was a Netflix series starring Iko Uwais, which was a sort of like, I want to call it slightly Marvel-y.
Hang on, wait. You're saying Fistful of Vengeance. I was thinking of our other trailer.
Invincible. You're thinking of Invincible.
Yeah, I was like, well, then, yeah. No, this looks, Fistful of Vengeance looks incredible. I'm so in.
Yeah. I think we should maybe have a system, because it so obviously seems like something we should talk about. But my only concern is that it isn't very good, and then we promise to talk about it, and we have to spend half an hour talking about it, and it's disappointing. So, but I don't know what a fair system is. Like, we say, if it gets over 59% on Rotten Tomatoes...
6.6 on IMDb.
Okay.
Can never trust the IMDb ratings.
No, I mean, similarly, Rotten Tomatoes, I suppose. I'm basically like 100% going to watch it. I watched Woo Assassins. I don't know if you watched that series.
No, I never watched it.
I watched the whole series, and it was not the sum of its parts, I will say. It did feature some great action, but... And I feel like it's difficult to be disappointed about this aspect of it since it's so stitched in, but it had a bit too much supernatural shit in it.
I'm in.
All right. The trailer does look good though, and it looks like it's got some sweet action in it. So
yeah, I mean, I think Iko Uwais is incredible.
Yeah, so. And Lewis Tan, who's also in it, he's putting in the work by the looks of his socials. He's training up like a mofo, and he did pretty well in the series. So I'm ready to watch this.
Speaking of putting in the work, should we talk about our now tradition of what film's coming out this time starring Bruce Willis? How's he got another one?
I think we nearly went one episode without a Bruce Willis. I want to say a Bruce Willis movie, but a movie that Bruce Willis appears in for an amount of time.
This one as well, the title sounds like an algorithm has generated this film. Gasoline Alley.
Gasoline Alley, starring Devon Sawa and
Luke Wilson,
Owen Wilson's brother.
I mean, I think Luke Wilson's got enough on his credits to not need to be in the shadow of his brother. And once again, Bruce Willis. It just looks like a pretty standard action film, doesn't it?
Yeah, I don't even think it's an action film, is it? It looks like a sort of cookie cutter thriller that Bruce Willis, he's not even in the trailer that much. So God, they must have not had a lot to work with. He's basically pops up, says a line, is sitting down in 4 of the 5 shots he's featured in. On? And then he shoots a gun a bit, takes his million, fucks off to Bermuda, or pays his tax bill, whichever way around that goes. Suffice to say, I can say with, I'd say, a 99.2% certainty I will not be watching it.
All right. Will you be watching our next trailer, which I've already described, but for the wrong film, Invincible, the Universal Soldier remake?
Yeah, it is, isn't it? It's this one I feel like could go either way. It's called Invincible. It's got Marko,
Johnny Strong,
Johnny Strong, who I'm not aware of, but he is listed as one of the writers.
He's been in a lot. He's been in like Black Hawk Down.
Right.
What else has he been in? He's one of those guys who pops up in a lot of things, but he's never pushed to the front. So you don't go, oh, this is a Johnny Strong film.
Well, on his IMDb, he is listed as a musician and a martial artist. So, again, I don't know if he wrote that, but I suspect if it says martial artist, he is trained, which bodes reasonably well. Marko Zaror, though, is an absolute beast. He is in Undisputed 3. I know you're a huge fan of the series. I want to say he's from Brazil, or I could be wrong. He's from a South American country. He's an absolute Hulk, and he moves like a ninja. The trailer suggests does not have a hugely high budget, but they have lent into his skills and hopefully Johnny Strong's martial arts skills. A few quite nice little bits in the trailer. I like the idea that they can shoot each other and it doesn't kill them, so they're sort of fighting and shooting each other at the same time. It's like equilibrium.
Oh, don't. That's one of my most hated films.
I really enjoyed it. I loved that film.
Do you know why I hated it? As soon as, I was already going into it going, you can't do a film where your whole plot point based on not having emotions, but everyone who says that, even in the early bit, breaks that rule by showing emotion. Like it's like, but not enough to make you care for them. But they never really took me out of it.
Gun Carter's cool, isn't it? That's the good bit of it.
It's all right. The bit I think took me out of the film straight away was when whoever did the research hadn't looked how big the Mona Lisa was. Just massively the wrong size.
I love that you've remembered that part of that film. I have no recollection of that. All I remember is
I've only
Christian
watched
Bale
it once as well.
Fucking people up.
Still haunts me.
Amazing. So Invincible, I think, is one of those ones where I'm probably not going to be the first person to watch it. I'm going to let the more intrepid DTV watchers feel it out and see if it's worth taking a look at. But I got my eye on it for sure.
Last trailer, which you'll definitely watch straight away, as will I. Just got our favourite in.
Is it even a trailer? It's more of a teaser, isn't it?
It's like, it's good.
But we have to feature it because it has our Lord and Saviour Jackie Chan in it.
Yeah. So the film is called
Ride On.
Yeah.
What's it about?
Jackie Chan is this is what I've got from the trailer. Jackie Chan's got a daughter. He's not happy with the guy she's with. He's asked her if he's asked the guy if he can protect his daughter. And then he said he's training martial arts 3 years. Then there's a quick shot of Jackie Chan riding a horse down a corridor.
Yeah,
a little bit of comedy, some absolutely choice sound effects, and we're out.
No idea what this movie is about, but we know that Jackie Chan has a daughter. He's very protective, and at least one point in the film, he rides a horse. That's what we've got.
It looks like he's going back to his sort of comedy action film roots, which I always love.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Because, he is old, and we still want him to be doing cool stuff. And I think, at some point, you just have to be like, you can't expect a man in his 60s to be falling off buildings anymore.
You can't expect that.
you demand it.
Yeah, I do expect it.
Yeah, again, when's
the point in Jackie Chan's career where it goes from Jackie Chan falling off a building, everyone going, "You're all right, Jackie," and then that time where they're like, Hey, you all right? You've had a little fall, Jeff.
Yeah, he just presses the little panic button hung around his neck.
Yeah.
Oh, it's very sad. I mean, I've got so much love in my heart for Jackie Chan, but
He's still doing great stuff. I
have
think
not
it's gonna be
watched
good.
the last 5 movies he's made, sadly. Okay, that's the trailers. There's some fun stuff coming up. Matthew, it's very exciting. It's time for a new, and I hope it's going to be a regular feature, but that is TBC. We've got a competition, mate!
Oh, boys! I'm back!
We have got the competition of competitions
Hoo
coming
boy.
at you.
This is exciting.
Simon, let me ask you a question. When
Yes.
you watch your action films
Yeah.
in, say, a 2022 environment,
Yeah.
what's your preferred method to consume, say,
Well,
film? Be it cinema, be it ultra high definition streaming,
You know
be
me.
it...
I either go for a VHS or I like to watch it streaming on Real Player.
Nice. But we haven't got either of those.
Sadly, we
have.
couldn't get either of those. We took it up a notch, and we have got our hands on not 1, not 5, but 3 copies of Raging Fire. Episode 1 of this podcast is the movie that started it all, and that's what people refer to it as, the movie that started it all, brackets, the podcast Dodge This. 3 copies of that on DVD.
DVD.
Which is, if you haven't seen it, it's a great way to enjoy the film. You'll have the film, your TV will upscale it, your PlayStation will upscale it to make it look even 1080 quality. Look, it's very nice.
If you're watching this in, say, around 2000, 2001, you're going to be telling your friends, you can't believe the difference in quality.
There's possibly special features on it. Look, I'm not having a go because it's
Do you
very
remember
nice.
waking up to looping DVD menus? Then look no further than our competition.
Okay. And that is the last ever competition that we had on Dodge This, unfortunately, because we were acting very ungrateful. No, huge thanks to CineAsia and the Warrior Agency for hooking us up with 3 DVDs. And listen, when our listenership goes up, then maybe we will be higher on the pecking order and we'll get Blu-rays next time. We'll put the work in and we'll see you in a few months.
It's an incredible film. So if you haven't seen it and you want an easy option to try and win one, we're going to run a little competition on Twitter.
Yes, sir. Basically, find this podcast on Twitter where me and Matt have linked to it, retweet it, and as a comment, put like the line you would say after you'd killed one of us in an action movie. You can make it to do with something we said in this episode. You can make it to do with Raging Fire, make it to do with the writer's Odyssey. In fairness, as long as it has some value and it makes sense within our world, and ideally has a quite bad pun in it, then you're in with a chance of winning. We'll pick our faves. We'll announce them probably on Twitter. And then a DVD will arrive magically in your mailbox.
Yeah. Forget this going downstairs, putting on your TV, watching it instantly without any need to put a disc in or out of a DVD player.
Mate, I think we're going to lose any future competition.
Do you remember the joy of waiting for Love Film to send you?
Love Film! Oh, I used to love Film. We can't send someone an MKV file.
We can't keep going on about this either. We should talk about this film.
Yes. Anyway, check out our Twitter for the Raging Fire competition. That's how you enter. I've just said it. Do the retweets, do your kill line, and maybe you could win. And Raging Fire is bloody great, so you'll be absolutely delighted. I'm going to save the action movie trivia for the end of the podcast, Matt, because I think it's time for us to get into the main event. Boop. That was me pressing the jingle button. Thanks for that.
I did like that. I like it a lot.
And now, our feature presentation.
Dodge this.
All right. Now, in previous episodes, we've talked at length, and by we, I mean you, have talked at length about comic books, about graphic novels, about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, about fantasy stuff. That is very much your wheelhouse. If it's got a hooded cloak and some sort of electrified weapon or an axe, Matt's the man. If it's someone doing a spin kick in someone's face, I'll take that question. But I felt it was time to bring something to Matt's door that he would have a lot more to say about than me. And this one was on my list of things to watch for a while. We're still in the beginning of the year. There's no mega hot items right now. So I dug deep, pulled this one out. It's A Writer's Odyssey. It's a Chinese film that came out last year, which was 2021 for anyone listening to this in the future, wondering what a DVD even is. Directed by Liu Yang, based on a novel by Shuang Xuetao. I'm fairly sure I've mangled that. I'm very sorry. It is an action, adventure, fantasy, CGI, superpower, allegorical tale.
I would describe it as a never-ending story.
Oh,
but mad.
That's a great one, actually. I hadn't even thought of a never-ending story, because going into the, I mean, how you please, you're the best one at summing up plots, so give it a go.
Okay, so this one it's basically a dual narrative. So basically, you have that sort of never-ending story vibe of something happening on our planet, the real world, and then something happening in a fantasy world. In this case, a dad has lost his daughter 6 years ago. She was kidnapped, and it has quite rightly ruined his life.
Quite rightly.
He's a bit upset about that, to the point where it's been 6 years, and he's still not over it.
No. And fair play to him.
Yeah. He's still looking for his daughter, his little Tangerine. So we open with a action scene where he's tracked down some guys he think was involved with her disappearance. This leads him to basically the Jeff Bezos, or the whoever's in charge of Apple these days, of China. And it turns out this billionaire guy is dying, but he's worried that this novelist's book is killing him, because this novelist who is writing this book is also live reading it out every day. He does a new chapter.
I'll be honest, it's already getting quite complicated, isn't it, at this point in the story?
Every time his character, who is a god called Redmayne, is injured or threatened, he gets sicker, and he's convinced that this novel is going to kill this character Redmayne, the god, and that's what will ultimately kill him in real life. And so the plots begin to parallel and tangent each other, but ultimately it's his dad searching for his daughter, and somehow that gets involved in a fantasy universe with the cool adage of this dad has no skills other than he's really good at throwing stuff.
Yeah, so
and
basically,
is he.
The dad is tasked by this Jeff Bezos, Steve Jobs of China, head of Alibaba, say, is tasked with murdering the novelist, because he thinks the novelist, everything he writes comes true. So there's a tiny bit of suspension of disbelief. Also, for some reason, the dad has a superpower that he can throw stones with incredible accuracy. That is never, the backstory of that is never mentioned. We just exist in a world where that is fine.
It's also like, I can't remember what the film is called now, where they curve bullets. He can do this.
Wanted.
He can do this in a Wanted style. One of the reasons they hire him, not only because they've got the perfect reason to manipulate him, saying they know where his daughter is, for some reason they're tracking him with a satellite that's never used again, that shows his stone-throwing prowess is impossibly good and would be the perfect assassination weapon.
Which is fair, actually. If you had that power, what else would you use it for? Apart from to rescue your daughter or murder a novelist who writes a book that may or may not be coming true.
Or cricket.
Actually, that would be a cricket or baseball. Yeah, fair, actually. I as I was watching this, I think for the first half, I was like, I don't think I've ever seen a movie like this before. But then you said Neverending Story, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is a sort of a bit like that, isn't it? I just couldn't think of a movie where there was that dual narrative of a fantasy world happening at the same time.
Oh, loads.
Yeah.
But Neverending Story is the go-to.
The go-to.
basically.
And that is a movie that has imprinted big on me because I cried when the horse died when I was a child in the cinema.
Oh, when it gets depression.
Oh, boy. Because that was presumably also like an allegorical tale.
Yeah, it is.
In as much as
Artex.
this is, I think, right?
Yeah, the whole thing in that is the swamps of sadness. If you get depressed, it consumes you. So the horse gets depressed, stops, and a child has to watch his horse die.
That's too much. And to this day, I mean, I only watched it as a child, so I just thought a horse died. I didn't really understand it as being about depression.
Yeah.
As I watch this, I see a few more layers about a huge conglomerate corporation attempting to crush a small artist and art versus commerce and the ongoing march of red China trampling over everyone and all that kind of thing.
And grief, there's a lot of grief in there and loss.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you like it though, Matthew?
I did. I really enjoyed it. So I would never, like, this is the sort of film where I think had I gone to the cinema to watch this on my own, it would come out and go, nah, that's a bit much. But because it just, because it was sort of like one of those, I just gave a chance. Gave a chance to, it's fine. But this sort of film is massive in China. There's loads of stuff like this sort of fantasy sweeping sort of, because the fantasy worlds, when they do them in this type of film, especially in Chinese cinema, they make them like the saturations levels are pushed up. It's beautiful. It
does look pretty good, I have to say. The CG is pretty good.
Yeah, there's a remake of Monkey not that long ago, which very similar sort of visuals, but then they contrast that in the real world, and I did like the dual narrative, because what they do with this is they never fully explain if it's real or not. They keep that open-endedness, which I assume is, again, an allegory for hope.
Okay.
Where, you neither disprove or prove it. They've X-filed it.
They've X-filed it, yeah.
It could be real, it could be skepticism.
Yeah.
But yeah, they keep it really open-ended, but watching the dad re-find his humanity was quite a treat. I did like that.
Yeah, I think there was some moments where I sort of was overwhelmed by the I think at the beginning the story drew me in and I was like, oh, okay, this is quite fascinating. This is quite an interesting study of grief. And it's like, and I think I went in thinking, oh, this will be like a lighthearted Marvel movie, and it's actually pretty full on. Like, it's not just like, oh, his daughter disappeared. It's like his daughter was taken by a man and put in a van in a cage. Like, they're not fucking around with the sort of like trafficking side of things. It's not really like a PG-13 fantasy movie. It's pretty like bloody and unpleasant. And there are moments when when they explore like his love for his daughter and that sort of thing that do resonate and were quite moving. And then sort of every time I thought, oh, I'm almost getting fully wrapped up in this, then some like mad CG shit kind of happens and it kind of lifts you out of it. It brings you to like Marvel, like, woohoo, I'm looking at cinema, rather than like, ooh, I'm being affected by this story.
Yeah, there are some crazy bits of CG. And also, so we're going to have to explain this before I talk about the scene, because otherwise you'll have no idea what I'm on about. But basically, very early on, the protagonist in the fantasy world, who is the parody of the writer, who is not the parody, the sort of the upside down version of the writer.
Right, like his avatar.
Yeah, he kills this old sorcerer and gains his armor, which is this immortal wood stuff that has an eye, who I thought was the best character in it.
It was pretty cool.
But there's a fight scene where it basically just wants blood, and it stops becoming armor and becomes some sort of wooden walking starfish.
Yeah, it is in the trailer, so this isn't like a spoiler, to be fair.
It's absolutely amazing. But what I love about that scene is, for some reason, he makes the exact same noises as Mario. He goes, woohoo! Like loads. Like woohoo! When he kills. Woohoo!
He does seem like he's having a lovely time. That was a great bit of the film, to be fair. I mean, it does go full CGI overload at that point, but it's a pretty good action scene. And I meant to sort of say this at the top, is that I wouldn't really classify this as an action movie per se, but it does feature quite a lot of action.
I would say it's action adventure.
Yeah, okay.
But they do have some like really choreographed fight scenes and stuff. Like there's a bit in the library at the end where he uses his stone throwing powers.
That's a pretty cool scene.
They have essentially like, you know, when superhero genre doesn't do a Marvel or a DC, they do their own thing and they go, how would this work in real life? They have characters like that. They have a guy with devil eyes who I think is supposed to be from the fantasy world when they start bleeding the two in. But they do have some really good thought out bits of action. And
yeah,
again,
that bit is pretty good. That bit also just is sort of like, oh, remember that some people in the real world also have superpowers for some reason that we've not explained in any way at all. That's but it's good because, you know, if you're going to go up against a grieving, stone throwing marksman, you need a random guy who can shoot electricity and a guy who I think can go really fast. Is that his power?
So the two are, one of them has a battery hooked up to him. It's not that he can fire electricity, he can just take a lot of electricity.
That's right. He's not, he's like invulnerable to being electrocuted, sort of.
And the other one essentially is Duke Nukem. He injects adrenaline and the adrenaline makes him faster and his reflexes heightened. But yeah, I mean, the premise is great, like the dual narrative, because I think it's in the trailer, like the thing that's driving it in terms of take away all the daughter and stuff. It's the idea is, dare you kill a god? And that for the fantasy thing is very simple, but when you're looking at the real world stuff and it's like exactly what you said before, can you take down this conglomerate? Because you have a very early image of the Steve Jobs character where you see how fanatical people are about his tech and his equipment, and he has this big hologram hand and everyone is like, oh, please touch me. And it's got all that sort of like religious awe that we have from...
It's like that lottery advert from the UK where it would be like, it's you, and a big finger
is like
pointed. That. Yeah. Quite a deep cut reference, that, for the listeners, but...
Yeah.
Pretty valid.
Yeah. That reference predates DVDs. So...
We know who our audience is.
It's a really good bit to sort of say, like, to look at the power that these companies have and the sort of fanaticism they have, because later on when they parallel that in the fantasy world by people just willingly going to war and killing each other because of the word of God, I think it's a really good way to play that allegory. And like when you start it, the two worlds, they feel quite disparate, and you are going, right, how does this pad together? But once you sort of get into that rhythm of realizing that they are in turn filling in bits of the narrative for the other side, I really enjoyed it, and I really got into the rhythm. And it did that thing when you're reading a book and it's got sort of dual chapters, you get really into the sort of viewpoint you're in. So when you finish a fantasy section, you go back to real world, you go, oh, but then by the time you get to the end of the real world bit and you go into fantasy, you go, oh. So it's good at sort of keeping you in those worlds. Like you're never going to walk away going, this is my favorite film ever, but this is the sort of film you would watch by accident late night, and then you would find it and you'd get all your friends who love weird cinema and you go, I am going to show you something that we may never watch again, but we will constantly reference for the rest of our lives.
You've basically summed up the MO of this podcast.
Yeah. But it's that sort of film that you would then go, like, just make jokes about. Like, it's so... Visually, it is so much. Like, there's bits that God knows how much time it took to orchestrate some of the CG in this. It's a bit where they're attacking the city and they have these dragons that are essentially hot air balloons.
That was pretty cool, actually.
It looked stunning. And the thing is about it as well, not only does it look stunning, they've really gone to town and building a world. Like, there's a bit where at the end, it is a spoiler, but it's also not. If you really don't want to hear this, turn off now.
Just mute it for 30 seconds. Please come back.
2 minutes. the dad has to take over finishing the novel. So they do this beautiful thing where he's obviously not a writer, so he just writes in a minigun.
That's true. I didn't get it. I didn't get what was happening.
And then, he writes in a minigun to kill God. But then in the fantasy world, they envisage how that would look. And they basically have a Dark Souls boss fight, which is actually really good.
Dark Souls is a great reference. I went for God of War or Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
But all of those. And this is to its, I guess, detriment or benefit, depending on how you look at it. But it does just turn into a video game at the end. Like
100%.
Some of it is mental. It just looks like a video game you're not playing. It's a cutscene from a video game.
Doesn't love watching a colossal god
so
with
big
5 arms punch a guy into a wall?
That is true, actually.
And he punches well. He punches like
him
it's
a lot
a dragon.
of times.
Punches like a Dragon Ball Z character. It's like it's great. But there's those bits where I think that's what's lovely about it as well in terms of the fantasy of the real life. Like in the real life, when they're in a fight, they come out of it fucked up. But in the fantasy, it can be exactly that. It's basically the sort of novel that get turned into an anime, and people would love it. And there's bits like where you just do this real sort of feats of unheard of strength. Like there's a bit where he just stops the god punching him and pushes him back. And you do go, yeah. It's happening. I liked it. I really liked seeing that stuff.
Yeah, I think though that side of things, I mean, going in, I think there's no way this doesn't end with a CGI boss battle, right? Like they tee up this Redmayne god the whole movie, and you don't get to see what it is or who it is until the very end. And then there's the inevitable reveal, and like in God of War or Dark Souls, or I mean literally every level of Shadow of the Colossus is a boss fight. So for if anyone who's not a video game fan, means nothing, but he's the boss battle is a
massive
guy who is normal-ish size versus a guy who is the size of a skyscraper. It's like it's like Godzilla versus Dave. You know? Except Dave has got some powers and strengths and stuff, and
some cool armor.
That's right, and a little child accomplice who we haven't even talked about, I suppose.
We'll get around to it, I assumed. Just before we move on from that, I did like that because they've paralleled everything in the human world quite straight. So when they went in to see the Emperor, I was expecting to see an old withering guy in a chair or something.
Yeah, Bruce Willis.
Yeah. Just sit down for a cameo.
China can afford to get Bruce Willis in films.
Apparently, everyone can afford to get Bruce Willis in films.
That is true. That is very true.
But yeah, I loved that. They set this up, going, "Where's those drums coming from?" And then you realize it's the heartbeat. I was like, "That's good, actually."
That is nice. Yeah, that is nice. And again, it is. I don't know. Maybe video games and movies are just becoming more and more similar, because it is one of those things that's a good video game reveal, but also it's just a good story reveal. So maybe video game stories have just
video games are becoming more cinematic,
but
also a lot of the people like ourselves who grew up with video games in that sort of PlayStation 1 onwards era where they did start becoming mini movies slowly. They're now making films. So what do I love? I'm going to put that into this.
That is true, yeah.
Metal Gear Solid, there's one Metal Gear Solid, I think it's 4, has a 92-minute cutscene or something ridiculous.
Oh, I mean, fair play. He wanted to make movies and then he just put movies.
Yeah, he wanted to make movies, but you don't need 92 minutes to say the same point.
Unskippable cutscenes.
Yeah.
Incredible.
This thing I have just said. Can I say it like this? Wait, let me repeat what you just said back to you, because I don't understand the thing that you just said. Just to
I'm waiting for the interactive movie where you have to take the batteries out of the remote control for your TV to defeat the boss. That's a deep cut Metal Gear Solid reference.
Yeah.
And I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what it is, there was a boss you had to unplug the controller and plug it into the other controller input. How anyone ever worked that out without
Psycho Mantis
reading a walkthrough, it blows my mind.
I figured it out.
You didn't.
No.
Fuck off.
Not
It was
at
just an
all.
incredible bit of programming, Nelson. We're still talking about it. That game came out about 20 years ago.
Longer.
We should talk
90s.
more about... Oh, God, we're so old. Remember DVDs? We're never getting any
Well,
more,
if you
never doing any
don't,
more competitions.
if you'd like to see one,
I enjoyed the ride of this movie, is what I'm going to say. It felt, and as you say, there are a lot of these sort of CGI, slightly wuxia in that it's like, a fantasy period tale to some degree, but it's mixed in with modern stuff. And I think there are a lot of these movies that come out in China that kind of don't really raise their heads above the parapet, or the tall poppy gets cut down or the nail that stands out gets hammered down. Is that Japan or China? Either way.
no idea what you're talking about.
It's about not standing out in society. Actually, it's in the Netherlands as well. They just say, do normal. Like, don't stand out. Don't be outstanding, mate. Just be one of the herd. Very strange way to operate. But that's communism, is it? Okay. Now,
I'm just going to let him keep going. See where this leads.
it was the last episode of the podcast. Simon disappeared in a van into a fantasy world in a novel. And then the rest of the podcast is you just reading the novel.
I hunt you down 6 years later with the song that I used to sing to you.
Yes, there is. It turns out that music has a large part to play in defeating large gods.
Can I just say,
commerce.
there's a beautiful thing. There's 6 years is a recurring theme in the film. Deep Cut was going on about don't stand out and all that stuff. The writer, he hasn't made it in 6 years. So they basically say,
Just give up, mate.
just give up. Like, if you've not made it in 6 years, what are you doing? Messing around with your life. Which, again, it does tie into your Chinese culture about shame and family and stuff like that. But I was just like, I heard that an overnight success is 10 years.
Yeah, mate. 10,000 hours, mate. Come on. I did, when he said that line, I was a bit like,
Also,
Jesus
of course no
Christ.
one's buying your books if you're reading them out every night. You're going to buy that book?
at least put it on Audible.
Literally reads it to me every night. Great.
Yeah. Who is going to want to watch this movie, Matt? You're the fantasy. I don't want to use the word nerd in a derogatory sense, but
it's true.
It is quite a nerdy movie. It does exist in that realm of quite deep cut fantasy, a man with an axe and a sort of hood with holes cut in it.
Yeah. You're not going to walk away from this film going, oh my God, that was amazing. Like, you're not, but you are going to really enjoy it. It's one of those films that I think, like I said earlier, you think about it a lot. It's the exact sort of film, I think, that I would have watched at university when I've got no lectures in an afternoon and me and my friends are sitting around and we're just all the way through talking about how mad this is. It's the sort of film I think I wish we could have sat down and watched it together.
Yes.
Because I think all the way through you just get that running commentary because the stakes are so sort of, for you as a viewer, you're in this for nothing else but to enjoy it. And I think it is one of those things that communally you would enjoy. And I think, again, it is that sort of film that I would have relished in finding. Like, just watching on my own and going, what is this? And then going to my friends, like, this is happening. And then when something happens to the film, I'm already looking at them because I know what's
all
about
the way
to
through
happen.
it. Yeah,
so
yeah,
they,
yeah.
like, you know, just turn around, they see me nodding, going, yeah.
The armor's got an eye in it.
Fucking armor, man. Yeah, I think it's one of those. Like, if you're an action film fan, there's some great bits of action, but you're not going to remember that. That's sort of the bit. Like, you're not going to go, oh my God, that little chase or that roundhouse.
Exactly.
It is like you said. It's that sort of comic book film where the action is designed to keep your adrenaline up.
Yeah.
And
it didn't have
everything
enough martial arts in it for my martial arts action tastes. But it does have like some fun chases, some cool CGI battles, it's got some interesting and innovative ideas.
Yeah.
And it is visually stunning.
Which is weird because it did start out where you felt like it was going to be very martial arts heavy. Like the first fantasy fight, you're like, oh, so it's going to be so Crouching Tiger, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it is kind of that, but it does go into those big sort of swooshing, cutscenes. You use the crank.
Hit points plus 10.
Yeah.
You can hear the Final Fantasy battle music starting every time it goes into the fantasy world. But as you say, in terms of like, yeah, it is one of those movies that you want to like hand it to people and go, have a look at this. And I hope that is the service that this episode of the podcast can do. Like, if you've listened to this and you just think, that sounds like the sort of movie I would absolutely love, then dig it out. It's on Netflix in some
You can probably
regions.
get DVD.
You can definitely get it on VCD, I imagine, if you need. But yeah, I think you'll have a really nice time. And as you say, like if we were in the room, there would be bits where we'd look at each other and be like, oh, that is pretty fucking cool. That bit was really fun.
This isn't a bad film in any way. It's just, it is a very, you've gone to the restaurant for a very specific flavor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say it's junk food because it has got some like nice ingredients in it, but you might be hungry again a couple of hours later.
Yeah. Do watch it. It is really fun, and like,
it's a lot of fun.
Again, I'd love to see this style of action film come to the West a bit more, because it is very much something you see a lot in certainly Chinese action films, action adventure films that you just don't see over here, like outside of the breakout ones. I would like to see a lot more.
All right, before we wrap up, I'm going to have to ask you for your, wait for it.
That's quite good. That's good sound effects.
Thank you. What's your action replay moment from this one? I think it goes without saying that mine is when the armor becomes, well, he's already sentient, but takes on physical form and just fucks shit up.
Yeah, I mean,
that seems obvious.
That is the standout moment, but I will say, for a little snapshot, if I could gif it,
gifable moment.
Seeing a skyscraper-sized god breakdance as a fight move was particularly enjoyable.
Yes. Oh, that is a great moment, actually. Have we got time? I'm going to squeeze it in. Yes. It was my birthday in December. My friend Stacey bought me this. I told her I would mention it, and it's very thoughtful and relevant. It's an action movie trivia card game, Matthew. I'm going to pull a card out. I'm going to ask you the question from it. If you get it wrong, you're fired from the podcast.
That is quite possible.
No, okay, here we go. It's a little box of action movie trivia. I'll post a picture of it on Twitter if you want to see it. Here we go. This is the question. In which movie does the action take place on the USS Missouri?
Is that Under Siege?
He's nailed it! In one, Under Siege.
Yes.
And you get to return next episode to defend your title. What an absolute treat.
I'm so glad that was what I knew.
Mate, there's a lot of cards in that box. We'll see.
We'll come back.
We'll come back next. There's two things from that movie that really stand out for me, and you can finish that joke yourselves. Matthew, where can people find you out on the internet?
Quite often I'm down HMV buying 5 for £20 DVDs.
I'm at FOP. I'm at FOP getting them for £3 each.
Yeah, well, you do now. I'm mainly on Twitter at Matt Titan, and if you just don't want the noise of Twitter, Instagram, but it doesn't really matter. You can find me.
You can find him, and you can find me at Simon Fielder on Instagram or Twitter, or go to my website, and there's all the links there. Hey, remember to enter our competition.
It should be live now, because we put it out. Yeah,
that's true. We should make sure that it's fairly live by the time the episode, quote unquote, drops. You can check out all the previous eps, watch the movies. If you watch this, please tell us what you thought of it. We love to hear from people.
Yeah, and please do recommend any films that you've seen coming out and stuff. Ideally not starring Bruce Willis, but if it looks good with Bruce Willis, we will watch it.
Or if you've watched the Bruce Willis to spare us, then please tell us, and we can share it.
Criticism to you, Bruce. I know you like to listen.
Bruce, always great to have you as a listener, and can't wait to have you on as a guest on a future podcast. We will see you in 2 weeks' time. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.
Keep kicking. I'm bringing it back.
Keep kicking.
It didn't catch on after the first episode. I'm trying to get a catchphrase for the t-shirts.
Fade it down.
Fade it out. Fade it out.
Keep kicking.